Good morning, everyone. So here I am back with the next video of revision. This one is related to the sense organs. So let us quickly start with the understanding of the human eye. Now, as far as the human eye is concerned, it is located uh, in the deep sockets or the orbits on the front side of the head. You can see here, and each eye is actually present in the form of a spherical structure, which is called as the eyeball. And the rotation of this eyeball is regulated by the six set of oculomotor muscles. The muscles that help in the rotation of the eyeball are called as the oculomotor muscles. So as far as the eye is concerned, it is in the form of a spherical structure known as the eyeball, which helps in the rotation, and the rotation of the eyeball is under the control of the oculomotor muscles, which are six in number. So each eyeball will have six muscles which will regulate the rotation of the eye. Now, let us have a detailed structure of the human eye. Let us have a look at it. So what is being highlighted in green here are the upper and the lower eyelids, which are movable. They can open and shut, and they can also keep out the bright light. Okay, so whenever there is an excessive bright light being flashed onto your face, okay, the eyelids can close the eyes, okay, and protect from excessive illumination. Now, the eyelids also show presence of the outwardly curving eyelashes. These eyelashes prevent any particles from falling into your eyes. In fact, even the eyebrows, which are not a part of the eye actually, but they also prevent the perspiration or the trickling raindrops from falling into the eyes. So the eyelids, the eyelashes, the eyebrows serve in protecting the eye in their own ways. Now let us have a look at the tear glands or the lacrimal glands. Now, as far as the tear glands or the lacrimal glands are concerned, these are exocrine glands. So obviously they are going to have ducts. Now each tear gland shows presence of about 6 to 12 ducts, which are called as the lacrimal ducts. I repeat, it will show presence of 6 to 12 ducts, which are called as the lacrimal ducts, which pour the liquid or the tears, okay, on the front surface of the eye. So here you can see the lacrimal glands or the tear glands. Now, as far as these tear glands are concerned, its location is at the upper sideward portion of the eye socket. I repeat, the location is the upper sideward portion of the eye orbit or the eye socket. And you can clearly see there are 6 to 12 ducts, okay, which pour the secretion, that is the tears, on the entire front surface of the eye. Now, the function of these tears is to help in lubricating the movement of the eyelids. Second function is to keep the entire front surface of the eye clean by washing away the dust particles. Thirdly, they also help in killing any microorganisms or germs that may have accidentally come in contact with your eye because of the presence of the enzyme lysozyme. So they have enzymes called lysozymes, due to which they have an antiseptic property, and they are able to successively kill the germs or prevent any severe infections. Now, last but not the least, they also help in communicating emotions. Okay, so these are the functions of the lacrimal glands or the tear glands. Now, these tears that are secreted are generally drained out by the lacrimal canal. You can see here highlighted in green, into the lacrimal sac and down into the nasolacrimal duct. Now, this nasolacrimal duct opens into the nasal cavity, and that is why quite often whenever any medicinal drops are put into the eyes, they often pass into the nasal cavity or even into your throat, which is on account of this nasolacrimal duct that is highlighted in green. So the tear glands also are kind of protective in function, along with the eyebrows, the eyelashes, the eyelids. There's one more protective structure around the eye, which is called as the conjunctiva. Now, conjunctiva is a thin membrane that covers the entire front surface of the eye. I repeat, conjunctiva is a thin membrane that covers the entire front portion of the eye. And over the cornea, it reduces to just a single layer. So it will be extremely thin over the cornea, very transparent, allowing the light rays to pass through it. Now, during viral infections, often the conjunctiva becomes inflamed and appears reddish in color. So this inflammation of the conjunctiva due to viral infection is called as conjunctivitis. I repeat, the term is conjunctivitis. So conjunctivitis is the inflammation of the conjunctiva due to the viral infection. So you can see here, I'll just again select the conjunctiva. So the green part that is selected is the conjunctiva. Now this is not there in grade 10, but this is something you had studied in grade 9 about the meibomian glands. Okay, so the ones that are highlighted in green right now are the meibomian glands, which are also called as the tarsal glands. So there are different names for the same glands. It is also called as the gland of meibom, the meibomian gland, and also the tarsal sebaceous glands. These are modified sebaceous glands basically. Okay, so you can look at their location. You can have a look there. Fine. So these are about the extra accessory structures that are associated with the eyes. Now let us start looking into the structure of the eyeball. Now the eyeball is actually divided into 3 layers. The ball of the eyeball is divided into 3 layers. The outermost layer is called as the sclerotic. The middle layer is the choroid, and the innermost layer is the retina. So I repeat again, you have the outermost layer that is called as the sclerotic, the middle is called as the choroid, and the innermost is called as the retina. So let us have a look at the sclerotic layer first. So you can see here, the outermost white colored layer that you see is the tough fibrous tissue, is a tough fibrous layer that is called as the sclerotic. Now, the white portion on the front of the eye is the sclerotic layer, which is actually visible through the transparent conjunctiva. Now, in the front, you can see a small bulge, which is quite light here. Okay, so if I just try to zoom in, you can see the bulge more evidently where my cursor is moving through. So on the front side, the sclerotic bulges, and it is present in the form of a transparent layer, which is called as the cornea. So the cornea is itself a part of the sclera or the sclerotic layer. Now, this cornea covers the entire colored part of the eye. Now, sometimes in certain patients, the cornea may lose its transparency, and that condition can lead to blindness. Okay, so this can be overcome by a surgical procedure called as corneal transplant. Now, for corneal transplantation, blood group matching or tissue matching is not necessary. The reason is the entire sclerotic layer, that is the entire outermost layer of the eyeball, including the cornea, is devoid of any blood supply. So because there is no blood supply to this layer, blood group matching or tissue matching need not be performed during the surgery, that is during surgical procedure known as corneal transplant. Now let us move on to the next layer, which is the choroid layer. Choroid is the second layer present beneath or inner to the sclerotic. Now, as far as the choroid layer is concerned, it is richly supplied with blood capillaries. So the nourishment to the eyeball is basically through the blood capillaries that are present in extremely large numbers in the choroid layer. Now the choroid also contains a black pigment called as melanin that prevents internal reflection of the light rays within the eyeball. Now this choroid, the front part of the choroid is expanded in the form of a ciliary body. Now the ciliary body will contain the ciliary muscles, which will regulate the shape of the eyelids. So I'll just hide a part of this to make the ciliary body quite evident and clear to you all. So here you can see this expanded portion, okay, is the ciliary body. If I just highlight the ciliary body, I'm sorry, I'll just move back to that section. Here I am just highlighting the section here. I can do a multi-selection to select the entire part of the ciliary body. So you can see here, that's the ciliary body, all of you. Okay, the ciliary body is actually a part of the choroid itself. It's the front part of the choroid which expands in the form of a ciliary body, which contains muscles that alter the shape of the eye lens. So you can see here what is being highlighted in purple is the eye lens. So the shape of the eye lens is regulated by the ciliary muscles contained within the ciliary body. Now coming to the iris. Now, this iris is also an extension of the choroid, which partially covers the lens and leaves a small circular opening in between that is called as the pupil. So you can see here the pupil highlighted in green, and the iris is present surrounding the pupil. Now, as far as the iris is concerned, the iris contains radial muscles to widen and circular muscles to constrict the pupil. So the muscles present within the iris regulate the amount of light entering into your eyes. So whenever it is quite dark or very dim outside, then the iris muscles will dilate the pupil. And whenever it is too bright, the muscles of the iris will try and constrict the pupil. So I'll just show you the muscular layer of the iris. Just give me a moment. Here you can see you have, these are the dilator muscles that can dilate the pupil, and these are the constrictors basically, okay, that will constrict the pupil. So I hope these muscles are clear to all of you. I'll select again. So these are the constrictors. This inner layer is the constrictor layer, and the outermost layer consists of muscles that will help in the dilation of the pupil of the eye. So I hope you are clear with the location of the pupil as well as the iris. Now let us move on to the next part, which is the retina. Now before we move on to the retina, there is one interesting fact about the iris. This arrangement of muscles in the iris is unique to each one of us, and therefore it is used in establishing the identity of a person. Now let us move on to the retina. So this is the innermost layer, which is sensitive to light, known as the retina. It consists of two types of light sensitive cells, the rods and the cones. The rods, which are basically spread throughout the peripheral region of the retina, contain a pigment called as rhodopsin or visual purple. Now this rhodopsin or visual purple helps the rods to function in dim light. They are sensitive to dim light, therefore, and do not respond to color. So rods can help in perceiving the presence of an object, but they cannot help you to distinguish or identify the color of the object because of the limitation of the rhodopsin. So rhodopsin can only help you to view in dim light, and they do not help you, it does not help you to perceive color. And rods are of only one kind. Rods only are of one type. The other type of light sensitive cells which are present in the retina are the cones. Now these cones are mainly concentrated in a specific region that is called as the yellow spot. So here you can see the yellow spot is highlighted on your screen, all of you. So the maximum distribution of cones is seen at this particular point on the retina that is called as the yellow spot, which lies at the back of the eye, almost at the center on the horizontal axis of the eyeball. So you can see here, okay, so you can see it is almost along the center on the horizontal axis of the eyeball. Now this yellow spot is the region which is also called as the macula lutea or fovea centralis. When the light rays coming from an object converge on the yellow spot, one sees a very clear image of that particular object. And that is why while reading a book, our eyeball moves as we read word by word. The reason being that we try to ensure that the convergence of the light rays coming in from the object occurs on the yellow spot. So again, I repeat, the alternate terms of the yellow spot are the macula lutea or the fovea centralis, and its location is that it lies at the back of the eye, almost on the central horizontal axis of the eyeball. I repeat, it lies at the back of the eye, almost at the center on the horizontal axis of the eyeball. So that is the location of the yellow spot. This is the spot of best vision. Now, lateral to the yellow spot on the nasal side, somewhere here, is the blind spot where no rods or cones are present. I repeat, somewhere to the lateral side on the yellow spot is located the blind spot where no rods or cones are present, and therefore if convergence of the light rays from an image occurs on the blind spot, one cannot see that image. Fine. Now, this blind spot is the point from where the optic nerve leaves the eyeball. So you can see here the optic nerve. This is the optic nerve. Okay, so the optic nerve leaves the eyeball from the blind spot. Now let us have a look at the arrangement of the light sensitive cells, rods and cones. Yeah, one point that I missed out while informing you all about the cones is that the cones are of three different types. I repeat, the cones are of three different types and they contain a pigment called iodopsin. Now, these cones are sensitive. They are again light sensitive and they function in bright light and they help you to perceive color. So the perception of the color is due to the presence of cones. Now, when one walks on a moonlit night in a garden, that per individual is not able to differentiate between the colors of different flowers. The reason being, in a surrounding that is very dim or very dark, only the rods function and not the cones, and hence a person is unable to differentiate between the colors, different colors of the flowers in a garden in a moonlit night. Now let us have a look at the arrangement or the distribution of the rods and the cones. So you can see here, the ones that are highlighted in green right now on your screen are the rod cells. So the rod cells outnumber the cone cells and they are mainly distributed throughout the peripheral region of the retina. Whereas the cone cells are fewer in number, but they are of three different types. And they are mainly concentrated or mainly found in the central part or the central region of the retina. And the highest concentration of the cone cells is found within the yellow spot or the macula lutea, also called as the fovea centralis. So this, my dear friends, is about the three different layers of the eyeball. Now let us have a look at this positioning of the lens, the suspensory ligaments, and the two chambers that are formed due to the presence of the lens, the front chamber that is the aqueous chamber, and the other chamber that is the vitreous that is present behind the lens. So let us have a look at these structures now. You can see here what is highlighted in purple is the eye lens located just behind the pupil. Now this eye lens is biconvex, transparent, crystalline structure made up of lens fibers which have lost their nuclei. Now, as far as the lens is concerned, it is held in position by the suspensory ligaments which are attached to the ciliary body. I'll just highlight the suspensory ligaments here. Okay, so these zonular fibers, the name that you see on your screen, has alternate terms, and one of the names is suspensory ligaments. So these zonular fibers are also called as the suspensory ligaments, which help in holding the lens or keeping the lens in position, and these attach to the ciliary muscles or to the ciliary body. So the green colored highlighted fibers that you see are the suspensory ligaments which hold the lens in position by attaching to the ciliary body. Now, as far as the lens is concerned, it is flexible. That is, its shape or its focal length can be altered. Now, the ability of the human eye to focus at an object at different distance, at varying distances, is called as the power of accommodation. So whenever we are looking at an object, which is, say, for example, at a distance of more than 6 meters, okay, then the lens will be flat or it will be thin. So whenever the object is at a distance of more than 6 meters, the lens would be flat or it would be thin. That is, in other words, it will be less convex. Now, how does the lens alter its shape? Because when the object approaches, whenever the distance is less than 6 meters, it will become more thick or more rounded or more convex. So how does the shape changes in the shape of the lens take place? It is quite simple. So whenever we look at a nearby object, the ciliary muscles contract and tend to pull the ciliary body slightly forward, which releases the tension on the suspensory ligaments, making it loose, and the lens, on account of its elasticity, becomes thicker or more rounded. I repeat, whenever we are looking at an object which is at a distance less than 6 meters, that is at a nearby object, the ciliary muscles tend to contract, and this brings the ciliary body slightly forward, releasing the tension on the suspensory ligaments. And the lens, on account of its elasticity, becomes more rounded or more thicker or more convex in nature. And the opposite happens whenever we are viewing an object that is at a distance of more than 6 meters away from us. So under such conditions, the ciliary muscles will be relaxed and the lens remains stretched by the suspensory ligaments, and it is less convex or it is thin in order to adapt and view an object that is at a distance of more than 6 meters. So this ability of your eye lens to adjust the focal length in order to view the objects at varying distance is called as the power of accommodation. So you can see here what is highlighted slightly in purple is a part of the eye lens. So this eye lens is dividing the eyeball into two chambers. The front chamber is smaller one, and it is called as the aqueous chamber, which is filled with a fluid known as the aqueous humor. Now, the word aqueous means it is watery and it is transparent. The function of this aqueous humor is to keep the lens moist and protect it from any physical shock. And it also helps in refraction of the light. Refraction means it helps in bending of the light rays or in convergence of the light rays. So I repeat again, the lens divides the eyeball into two unequal chambers. The front one is small, called as the aqueous chamber, filled with a fluid that is called as the aqueous humor. Okay, it will be thin and it will be completely a transparent fluid. So that's why you cannot see it here in this part as a specific labeling. But you can see here the front portion is completely transparent where my cursor is moving. So that's where the aqueous humor would be present. And this aqueous humor maintains the lens moist and it protects it from any kind of mechanical shocks. And it also helps in the refraction of the light rays. The chamber behind the lens, which is the larger one, is called as the vitreous chamber. Now let us have a look at the vitreous chamber. You can see highlighted in purple is the vitreous chamber and the vitreous humor. Now, as far as the vitreous humor is concerned, this fluid is quite dense, it is quite thick, and it is jelly-like but transparent. Now, the function of the vitreous humor is to protect the retina and its nerve endings, and it also helps in keeping or maintaining the shape of the eyeball. So that's the function of the vitreous humor. So you can clearly see the eye lens is dividing the eyeball into two chambers. The front smaller chamber is the aqueous chamber filled with the aqueous humor, and the chamber behind the eye lens is called as the vitreous chamber filled with the vitreous humor. All right. So these are the parts of the human eye. Now, in the next part, let us have a look at the certain common defects of the related to the human eyes. So now what you see here is a normal picture frame. The first image that you see is a normal picture frame that a person without glasses can look. But when we say that a person suffers from myopia, which is also called as short-sightedness, in which a person can see the nearby objects clearly, but the distant objects are not in focus. In such a condition, it arises due to two factors. Either the shape of the lens is altered, or the distance between the lens and the retina is altered. So when does myopia occur, or what are the causes of myopia? One is the lens becomes too curved. Okay, so when we say that the lens becomes too curved, it means that the image, the light rays coming from the object or the image, instead of converging on the retina, they converge in front of the retina. As you can see on my screen here, the convergence point is in front of the retina instead of on the retina, and hence the distant objects have become blurred. You can see the person can see the nearby objects very clearly, but the distant objects are appearing blurred, which is because the convergence is taking place in front of the retina on account of the increased refractive index of the eye lens, or in short, the eye lens has become too curved. Now, the other reason for myopia is that the increased distance of the lens from the retina. So whenever the distance increases, it means that the eyeball has lengthened from front to back, that will also cause the convergence of the light rays to happen in front of the retina instead of on the retina. So let us have a look at that image as well. So here you all can see that the distance of the lens from the retina has increased, which is due to the lengthening of the eyeball from front to back. You can see a dotted line, which was actually the normal positioning of the retina. But due to the lengthening of the eyeball from front to back, the distance between the lens and the retina has increased, and the convergence is occurring in front of the retina instead of on the retina, and hence the person cannot see distant objects clearly. So both these are the causes for myopia. The correction of the myopia can be done by using concave lenses. So let us have a look at how the concave lenses will help in the correction of myopia. So you all can see here that the placement of a concave lens in front has kind of first caused the light rays to diverge, and then convergence takes place. So as a result of which, the light rays go on to converge on the retina now. And the person can see the distant as well as the nearby objects clearly. So the correction for myopia can be done by using concave lenses. Now let us shift our focus to hyperopia. That's an exactly opposite condition. Hyperopia is also known as farsightedness, means a person can clearly see distant objects, but the nearby objects are appearing blurred or they are not clear. Now, let us see the causes and how correction can be done for hyperopia. So as you all can see here, due to the lens becoming too flat, the convergence is taking place behind the retina in place of on the retina. And as a result, a person cannot see the nearby objects clearly, but the distant objects are visible very clearly. So I repeat again, one of the causes for hyperopia is that the lens is too flat. And this causes the convergence of the light rays from an object to occur behind the retina instead of on the retina. And the second cause for hyperopia is the shortening of the eyeball from front to back. So the distance between the lens and the retina decreases as a result. And this will also cause the convergence to happen behind the retina in place of on the retina. So let us have a look at that image as well. So as you all see in this image, the eyeball has slightly shortened from front to back. You can see the normal positioning shown by the dotted line here of the retina. So because of the shortening of the eyeball from front to back, the convergence of the light rays is taking place behind the retina. And as a result, the person cannot see nearby objects clearly, while the distant object is clearly visible. So this, my dear friends, are the two causes for hyperopia. Now, the correction of the hyperopia can be done by using convex lenses. So let us have a look at that image also, how convex lenses help in correction of hyperopia. So you can see here how the use of convex lenses helps in bending the light rays. So convex lenses are basically the converging lenses. They will help in convergence of the light rays and ensure that the light rays converge on the retina instead of behind the retina. So hyperopia can be definitely corrected by using convex lenses. So whenever a person is suffering from myopia, the power of the lenses is always mentioned in negative, minus. While a person suffering from hyperopia, the power of the lenses is always in positive or plus. Now, let us have a look at another condition which is same as hyperopia, but usually affecting older people. And that condition is called as presbyopia. It's an age-related condition, which is a type of farsightedness or a type of hyperopia, but specifically seen in old people. So let us have a look at that as well. Presbyopia is caused by the loss of elasticity of lens, which usually affects older people. And due to that loss of elasticity of the eye lens, the convergence of the light rays takes place behind the retina, and hence the person cannot see cannot see nearby objects clearly. The distant objects will be visible clearly, but the nearby objects will appear blurred, which is because the light rays coming from these objects will converge behind the retina instead of on the retina. So this condition that affects older people, which is a type of farsightedness, is called as presbyopia. Now let us have a look at astigmatism, in which a person can see a part of the object in focus while the remaining part is appearing blurred. So part of the same object appears blurred while the other part may be clearly in focus. So this is due to uneven curvature of the cornea, and that can be corrected by using cylindrical lenses. So correction for astigmatism can be done by using cylindrical lenses. So let us have a look at the cause of that defect and also its correction image. Now, what you see here is the normal curvature of the cornea, and the person can see an object absolutely clearly. Now let us have a look at how it appears to a person suffering from astigmatism, and let us also see the change in the shape of the cornea. So you can look here, there is an uneven curvature of the cornea, and as a result of which the object appears blurred. A part of the object may be clearly in focus while the remaining part may appear blurred. This is due to the uneven curvature of the cornea. So look, you can see here the difference between the normal shape of the cornea and the astigmatic cornea. So astigmatism is basically a condition that arises due to the uneven curvature of the cornea. Yes. So the condition that arises due to uneven curvature of cornea, which is astigmatism, can be corrected by using cylindrical lenses. So you can see here using use of a cylindrical lens helps in overcoming the defect that is caused due to astigmatism. So we have discussed 4 defects so far, and now let us have a look at the 5th one, which is the last one that I'm going to discuss, which is cataract. Now, cataract is a condition that again usually is seen in older age. Sometimes it may also affect young individuals as well. And the cause of cataract is the loss of transparency of the eye lens. So let us have a look at how it appears, okay, and how the defect can be corrected. See, what you all can see is a normal eye lens. Now let us have a look at how it happens to lose its transparency, and that is the cause of cataract. You all can see here there is clear loss of transparency of the eye lens, and as a result of which the person cannot see anything clearly. Everything appears blurred. So this is mainly caused due to the loss of transparency of the eye lens, and this defect can be corrected by replacing the defective eye lens with an artificial one. I repeat, this can be corrected by replacing the defective eye lens with an artificial one. So you all can see here a laser surgery is being performed for the removal of the defective eye lens. So frame by frame, I'll just show you how the defective eye lens is being removed. You can see here the defective eye lens being removed, and the defective eye lens can now be replaced by a artificial plastic lens that can be placed either just in front or behind the iris. You can see here, this is the new eye lens that is being placed. Okay, so this is how the cataract defect can be overcome. That is by replacement of the defective eye lens by a artificial one. So thank you. This was the revision video for the structure of the human eye and the associated defects. Very soon I'll be uploading the video for the structure of the human ear and various parts of the ear as well. Thank you for watching the video. Keep liking my channel and keep promoting it. Thank you, everyone.